So in this video, we are going to look at how to add stock policies to your website. And before you add any stock policies, you'll just need to make sure that you have already got the multi-channel module on your website. So what this means is that you would have already added inventory control and already set this up. And if you haven't, then head over to the other support guides around how to do that. So you'll already have in the top bar here your multi-channel, and you will be using that for your inventory. So what we've done now is log into the back end of the admin. You've got your multi-channel sales, and they'll be coming into the multi-channel part of your website. And you may have already set up your inventory, which is found by going to multi-channel and then channel inventory. Remember, we said this is the heart of where all information about your inventory is held, and you'll have products in here. Now, to set up stock control policies, stock policies can be thought of as a way to change how your products are displayed on the front end, which gives your customer information about stock levels. And you have various options and different types of information you can give them, but it is actually powered from this channel inventory part of your website. So when we look here, we can see we've got various stock numbers of each of our products, and we've got different stock levels. So just to recap, you've got your in stock, which is across all your websites. You've got your pre-allocated, stuff that's is on order. You've got allocated. This is when you have completed an order, it moves to allocated, and you've got your on purchase order, and then finally the on hand amount. And why these amounts are important is because actually they are within your stock policies. You have a choice over which of the amounts you use. So you don't actually always have to display the on-hand amount, and that will become clear a bit later. So it's useful just to remind yourself of the different types of stock levels that you have, and then we'll head over to where your policies are. So that's channel inventory. So to set up your stock policies, you go to settings, multi-channel, and then on the left-hand side, click on stock policies. And you'll notice in here there's already a stock policy in here, and we call this new stock policy. So what we're going to do is just take a look at this one, and then we'll set up a new one ourselves. So if we click on the edit button, we'll see this is our stock policy. It's called an arbitrary title, new stock policy. And the way to read this screen is actually just left and then down to right. So what we have on the left hand side is everything to do with what is viewed on the product. So this here is when I click on my product on the front end, what information am I given about the product for different stock levels. Then the right hand side is actually what happens in my basket when somebody orders something. So there's two different areas that things can be displayed on the front end. So left hand side, this is on my product, right hand side, this is in the basket. So just for a moment, rather than read these, we're just going to flick over to the front side and see how this actually looks on the front end. So we go to the front end of our website, and we'll have a look at what is going on there. So here is our website, and if we go into our shop, you'll notice that on the product list we have this is our stock policy is causing this to appear here on the front end, and then if we go into our product, we have, again, this is coming from our stock policy. So we'll go back to back end and see what's in our policy. For all inventory items, we're going to display we have stock and then the stock number. How do we get that number? Well, actually we use some codes here from the right hand side, and you basically pick the number that you want to display. So if I want to display a quantity that's on hand, remember you've got that on hand stock level, which was the level on the far right. If we want to display that one, we use stock underscore on underscore hand. So that's what we've used here. Then you have two different types of other level that you can display. What happens when there is low stock, and what happens when your stock is out of stock. So what's happening on the left hand side is that we're giving you options of what to say when a different stock level hits. So you can define low stock as 10 items, but you could define low stock as 0 items. You could define low stock as 100 items. Wherever you want to go and start displaying a different message to your customers, that's low stock. And then you can start again just saying, look, low stock, maybe add in a message about urgency, buy now to avoid disappointment. And then you've also got what happens when you're out of stock. Again, you could actually choose that out of stock isn't 0, it is another number. And you also have the added choice on out of stock about where to calculate your level from. What does that mean? It means, do you want to show people the on-hand level, or do you want to show them the on-hand level plus the amount you've actually got on order? This is particularly useful if you've got if you want people to start making back orders. So you've got a load of stock coming in, you know it's coming, but it isn't actually here yet, but you want people to go and be able to order up to that amount. You would select to show people this one here, it's the on order level as well as the on hand level. If we think back to our screen that we were on, if we go back to our channel inventory, what this is doing here is it's adding together this column here, the on order, plus your on hand, and giving somebody both of those numbers that they can order from. So let's go back to our policies, which is just down here, and look back at the policy. So that's what's happening in the out box here. And again, you have the options to add different images that people see, you can have different text, and you see we have written in a message about back ordering. So we have a back order stock of this number, and you can order now and change the expectation that your customer has. So let them know it's 3 weeks that they're going to get it rather than potentially next day. So that's everything on the left hand side, and that, as we said, controls what you're seeing on the product. On the right hand side is what's happening when somebody puts too many items in their basket. This can happen, so say for example, let's go back to our t-shirt on the front end. This here, we've got 100 of these t-shirts in stock. What happens if I put 101 in my basket? So that's fine. Oh, actually, we've even got 102 in there. I go to my checkout and I get this message saying, you've got 102 in your basket, please remove 2. How is that message appearing? That message is controlled. Again, there's another one up here. The message is controlled by this policy here on the right hand side. And it's actually calculating by how many your customer is overstock by using stock_over. Again, this code came from this box here, which is, we call it an over variable, where you basically take the number that's in somebody's basket versus the number that you actually have to tell them. So you're telling them, take 2 out, and actually you'll then be able to place your order. So it's a really useful number to use. So you'll notice here, if we go to our order, we aren't actually able to check out because we have too many. If I then remove 2, as the message says, I no longer see the message, and it goes back to reverting to see my product message, and I am able to check out, which is fantastic. So that's excellent. So we'll just go back to our back end and have a look at our stock policies. And we've just run through one stock policy here, and as a final reminder, it's important to enable your policy. What we're going to do now is just set up a new policy and add that to all our items. So here we've got our demo stock policy. And we're going to display some text here saying this is a different policy. So you may want to actually, why would you want to put multiple policies on your products? You may have different ranges that you control differently. For example, you may have one range with a very quick lead time and another range that actually takes a little bit longer to get to people. So you want to go and change expectations accordingly. So because of that, you may have different policies. So here we are. And actually my low stock is 100 items for this one. And I'm only going to display the on-hand level, and I'm just going to say out of stock. Very sorry. And on the over order, I'm just going to say move to checkout. I'm just going to put in the numbers on hand, fantastic, and I'm going to click OK. So I've made my new demo stock policy. To add this to the products, which is the only way a policy is effective, you go back to your channel inventory, where we were before, and you have to go into the channel, because you've got to remember that a stock policy is actually controlled per channel. So your stock policies function within one channel. They don't function at the inventory level, they function at the channel level. This may seem like semantics, but actually what it means is that you can have different policies on your wholesale website to your consumer website, and you'll need to set them up and run them differently. So actually we're not going to be able to control it from my all channel screen, we're going to control it from, if I click on eCommerce test, this here is where we control the policy. You'll see we get this new column here saying policy, whereas actually if I'm on all channels, I don't have a policy column. So I'm going to go back to eCommerce test, and actually if I want to go and add my P10, P2, basically my first 5 products, I'm going to edit them and actually change their stock policy. So all I've done there is check them on the left hand side, click edit, click on the stock policy, I'm going to change them to the demo stock policy and click OK. So you'll notice now as you look down the policy column, you've got 2 different policies functioning within one channel. And if we go to advanced search, you can see in there that you can actually search by policy as well, which is very good. So we're just going to have a look at those in our demo policy. Those are my first 5 products. If we go back to our front end, we can click back onto our site, and we'll go back to our shop. And we'll notice you can see the difference in our stock policy. So P1 to P5, I've got a different policy on, and actually it's showing our out of stock message here for product number 5, which is different to before. And you say this is a different policy. Again, we've got the different wording kicking in. So this can actually be very effective because what you can give your customers is really clear information about your stock that's tailored to the ranges and the lead times that you have. So that's very sophisticated. So that's a whistle-stop tour of stock policies. And we're just going to end by clicking back to our channel inventory screen, because this is where on the channel you'll actually be able to see all your policies kicking in there. So that's stock policies. I hope that was helpful.